fine. But what we are learning now is that in those cases which get cleared, go home after the emergency room, after that they have symptoms, they feel more depressed, and there is no medicine for it. Nobody knows what is going on with this person. And if it turns out that when you have a trauma like that, it's called head trauma, it somehow makes the hypothalamus, which is the master gland, which is a guide for all the axes of all the hormones that are produced in the body, that becomes malfunction. That's what I'm finding out. And by testing, and it's one of the primary organs that produce human growth hormone. All the tropins are the hormones that guide everything else, that tell every other organ, pituitary, your thyroid, your adrenal gland, ovaries, hypothalamic hormones tell every other gland what to do. So when hypothalamus becomes dysfunctional, everything else goes wrong. So we are finding out that more and more people who had trauma are not making any human growth hormone. So that somehow need to be treated and replaced. The amino acids, when we find out neurotransmitters are not being made by your brain, there are supplements. They are mostly from vegetable capsules, that specifically those amino acids in them you replace with the natural supplement, those amino acids. One can argue that if you extract those supplements, amino acids from green vegetables, what if they break down in the stomach? But what we do is, after we give that, 6 months later we test your neurotransmitters again in the urine and they're corrected. It's the proof of the pudding. That's how you prove that it's working. How else you prove? The patient tells you, I feel great. This is the best thing ever happened to me. So it's a learning process. Human body is very complicated. You live and learn. That you know better. You do better when you know better. So I don't know everything. As we learn more, we introduce new therapies. Controversy will always be there, primarily because of the economics, financial interest, that you can't run away from it. There is going to be lobbyist groups. There is going to be, remember, everything that sells or talked about, there is some financial interest behind it. So you do not believe everything. Have you heard someone tell you, look, this is true, I know this is true. How do you know this is true? Because I read in a book. We assume that everything that's in the book, because it's in a book, it's true. Everything that you hear on TV is true. Do you know that almost all the channels on television, they will not entertain a doctor or a philosopher or a talker or a book writer who has anything to say against a drug company? Give me a reason why. Because half of their revenues come from drug companies' advertisements. If you do that, Fox News, they will say, okay, they will drop Fox News and go to someone else. Drug company do not want any media, any newspaper, or any television channel to have advertisement against drugs. They will shut down, their channel will shut down. So this is how the real world works. So you have to always do your own research and do what you think is right. Use your freedom of conscience. Use your conscience. Do not use other people's brain. Use your own, because God gave us one. So why not? That's why He gave it to us. So use it. Most anti-cholesterol drugs, they average, Crestor is popular, Lipitor, Zocor, you heard about that. Some of you are probably on these drugs. They average, the newer drugs, Crestor is the newest one, Lipitor was before that, which brings down your bad cholesterol about 40%. Crestor brings down your bad cholesterol about up to 50%, to 60% even. Their average cost, the yearly cost to use, about $6,000. This is very, very good example, because you asked me about which university. So here, this is a beautiful example. I can't come up with a better example. So listen carefully. Average cost of buying Crestor from a pharmacy is about $6,000 a year. And if you have a so-called PPO insurance, they also have a way to say, you can get only 30 days supply at a time. If I write for 90 days, 3 months, they won't give it to you. Pharmacy won't give it to you. I do not dictate as a doctor how much you get. It's the pharmacy and your insurance company dictate. They'll give you 30 pills, and by some magic, if your copay is $20 for Crestor, it's all of a sudden $60. You don't even understand why they're charging you so much. So your cost, even though you don't pay all of it if you have insurance, $6,000 a year. You have to do blood tests every 6 months to check your liver because all these drugs damage your liver. You have to keep an eye on it. And there are many, many other side effects. On the other hand, if you could take niacin, niacin will knock down your cholesterol just like those drugs. You don't have to worry about doing blood work that frequently. And guess what? What is the cost to you? Anybody want to take a guess? What is the cost to you with niacin? Well, niacin is another fancy name for vitamin D3. It's a vitamin D3. The cost to you is $5 to $6 a month. And for the life of me, I do not understand why every primary care doctor in the United States zap you with Crestor or Lipitor. Once again, that's the reason. The influence of drug industry, the influence of FDA, government, insurance companies all together. That's how doctors make decisions. Even though the funny thing is, niacin is one of those things that is in every medical textbook. I will be happy to show it to you. This is one of those things that every medical school, when a student goes and there is a lecture by professor on cholesterol, high cholesterol, niacin is right there in the list of drugs as a potent, works like a drug. This has been known for decades that niacin works just is one of the very few alternative supplements which work like a miracle. And it used to be a problem before the niacin give you side effects like hot flushes, but now we make no flush niacin. So we found out what ingredient in there causes hot flush, we take that out. What is niacin good at? Niacin will bring down your good cholesterol called HDL. It will go up. It will knock down your bad cholesterol. What it is not so good at is bringing down your triglycerides. Triglycerides is the fat that floats in your bloodstream and it can lodge in the coronary artery and give you a heart attack. It's not that good at, but guess what? There are other natural supplements which bind fat in your gut and you pull it up. So why would anyone want to take Crestor or Lipitor? But how often niacin is given to patients? I haven't seen one patient come to my office from a primary care doctor who said, oh, he put me on low flush niacin.
Well, that's what happened to me. I didn't want to take those statin drugs.
There's no need to.
And I took them for about 1.5 years, and I felt like someone walloped me with a 2x4 in the back of the knees, and I didn't know why. I walk every day, and I've never had problems. And I went off that drug for, I was told to go off of it for a week and see if it improved. The problem went away.
Absolutely.
So
remember, drugs
it was suggested I take niacin, and I wondered if the time released, is there any difference in the effectiveness in it versus, the
whether it's time release or extended release, the only difference is extended release is going to release very slowly in your bloodstream as opposed to regular one is going to zap you.
Isn't that what dilates your arteries and pushes it out? I mean, I don't know how it works.
You are talking about which drug particularly?
Well, I was prescribed niaspan, but that was like $40 for 500 milligrams of niacin, so I went to the health food store.
Let me tell you, niaspan is being advertised on TV. Again, that is a commercial going on right now. So of course they're going to charge you $39.99. Okay? Like the typical price. So $19.99 if you order it within the next 15 minutes. We'll
wait,
free bottle.
You get a free bottle.
There is no reason for you to take that. We have, it's from health food stores. Sometimes the problem with the health food stores, they have fillers in them. You don't know who is growing in the backyard and selling you and becoming a billionaire. They're selling you whatever they want to sell you. This is the problem with the alternative health care industry. So someone comes up with an idea, says, I know so many people become so rich. What can I do? Let me start making one a day for women, one a day for men, vitamins. Then how about making one a day for children, one a day for grandmother, one a day for mother, and the guy became a millionaire. A billionaire. Because there's a book coming out, I haven't read it. The book is called Denialism. Because our society is in fad and hype, and that is the problem. If people don't buy, this false advertisement won't thrive. It will die away. So that is a perfect example of one a day. What do you think that person did? It's the same ingredients in there. He changed the combination a little bit. There is another doctor, urologist advertising. He has a full channel now. He sells Prosvent for prostate enlargement. He took same things that have existed in the natural supplements and mixed a couple of vitamins with it. And he sells this for $90, 2 month supply. And then they take your credit card and they are automatically starting to charge you. You have to fight with them to close the account. So this kind of advertisement goes on, and you don't really need to use niaspirin. You can use regular. What we have in our office, we make sure we do a little bit research, and before we buy these vitamins, we make sure they don't have fillers in them. They are absorbed very well. And the niacin no flush in our office it has 90 days supply, 3 months supply, and the bottle is like $15. 3 months of supply. So, yes, ma'am. Yeah, you were first. I'm sorry.
Give us an idea of what is involved financially to get to see you, do the studies, the blood work, whatever you do.
Your insurance pays for blood work.
Okay, I'm with Kaiser, so they don't.
Yeah, Kaiser is a problem.
Yeah, just give me, because I've already spent thousands on everything.
Okay, I have a few patients who are Kaiser patients who come to me. This is what we have done. Perhaps you can do the same thing. I write them a list of the blood work that's needed. They go to their Kaiser doctor. They say, I want to have it done. The Kaiser doctor orders it, and the blood work is done. They ask for a copy. They bring it to me, and then we use that. So this way you can use your insurance, your Kaiser doctor has the blood work done, because that can be expensive. And then I think your monthly cost, if you do not have insurance, is $192, but that includes whatever hormones we give you, supplements, vitamins, everything is included, including doctor's visit and everything.
And you talked about the neurotransmitter. This is something I'm specifically interested in.
That is a neuroscience company that we give you a kit, and we give you instructions, written instructions, how to fasting. You're going to collect your urine. Sometimes they also collect saliva at 4 times during the day, but mostly urine test. You collect it, and you send that, mail it to that company directly. And once the results are out, they fax me or email me the results. And then you come on your follow-up visit, then I discuss with you what the results are and the recommendations. Neuroscience has told me, that company, that Medicare pays for that test, insurance companies pay for that test, and the test costs about $250. Kaiser, because it's a HMO, it may be a different story, but insurance companies and Medicare pays for that test, and they claim it directly. If you're concerned about that, I encourage you to call Kaiser and see, I want to have this test done.